something, and therefore actually due to the presence of such an opportunity that I was able to gain some blessing of Allah. So actually this was not that I have done any favor to anyone or I've done anything. Inshallah, I hope that I feel it truly this way in my heart, and I never know. I will only know it on the day of judgment. But I hope that I feel that I have not done anything as a favor or as something big, but instead I am the one who is truly blessed. I am the one who is blessed. And I hope that while doing so, I was able to achieve some good out of it. Inshallah, let's say salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم سيدنا ونبينا والقاسم المصطفى محمد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المنتجبين سيما على بقية الله في الأرضين. أما بعد، قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم. So I invite myself and invite all of you towards taqwa, towards following and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Briefly, we have recited this surah many times during our conversations, and briefly talking about this, we are going to remind ourselves that in this Allah is saying that over all times, past, present and future, humanity was, is and will remain in loss, all the mankind except those who have done acts of righteousness, acts of correctness, acts of obedience to Allah. Amanu wa amilu salihat, they have understood, loved, practiced Iman, truth, right acts, and have acquired truth and then stand firm upon it. When the winds of chaos, confusion, distraction, deviation, oppression, humiliation, all of these winds, when they come upon them and they fall upon them, they hold their ground. They don't go this way, that way, up or down, left or right. They stand their ground. These are the person who are actually committing the acts of righteousness, are doing correct deeds, have faith, and they are the ones who are going to be successful, inshallah. So, I would like to, just like usual, I'm going to do two quick mention of things that are relevant to us before I move on to today's topic. So, two relevant things that are today to us that were brought to my attention yesterday are, as a topic I'm going to mention, because it is never appropriate to be pointed in our discussion. It's just not an appropriate thing to do. So, we discussed Shia as people who are the ones who preserve the religion. So just because we are few in numbers doesn't mean that we are wrong, that we are splintered, that we are somebody who broke away. Whoever broke away are the ones who themselves write in their books, about whom it is clearly mentioned in all the books that are available, that they have said that Prophet Muhammad said this, did this halal, but I am going to forbid this. I am going to add this. Prophet Muhammad said, Aliyun Waliullah, I am going to remove Ali from the seat of power, and I am going to instead become the person who will implement power. We do not accept any kind of addition or subtraction, to the extent that when Prophet said to Imam Ali alayhi salam, I took a name of the Prophet too, so let's say one more salawat. So then, at that time he said, cut Rasulullah from the Bay of Hudaybiyah, and he cut that. without question, even though I'm sure he obviously accepted him as Rasulullah. Is there any doubt about it? No. And yet, obedience, complete obedience to Prophet. Whatever he said, he's going to do it. No matter what. No questions asked. Finished. This is the essence of Shia. So just because we are few doesn't mean we are splintered. Splintered are those who ignored the commands of Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, unfortunately among some of us, so-called some of us, however you want to put it, there is unfortunate some movement which says we must recite, since we say Aliyun Waliullah in Azan, we have to recite it in Tashahhud. We don't believe in sins and therefore in matters of ahkam. There is no sins and therefore. Allah said, Roza, meaning Saum, meaning fasting, is from morning till night, a specific time in the morning, till a specific time at night, not in the evening. Layl. No, I'm not going to describe it. Moving forward. Layl. The word is layl, not evening. So for those who have problem with it. So that's that. Why the Quran we never said that? What can we do? So there is no since, therefore, if, but Allah said it, we do it. Allah said, Aqimus Salat, we don't know how. Prophet came and he said, Salat, meaning this. There is no then, if, but, then, therefore, do it. He said it, we said, yes. Fine, that is the end of it. Finished. So, Prophet didn't know that Ali Waliullah is. Who made Ali Waliullah? Allah and Prophet. So they didn't know for 1400 years. They did not know. Today we wake up and say sins, therefore. Who said sins and therefore is in the ahkam? Who gave hukum? We do sins and therefore in ahkam, or Allah gives the hukum and that's the end of it. His Prophet brings and describes the hukum, the laws, and that's the end of it. Who are we? Who am I to say since this? We only find ahkam. We don't make them. The ones who is the designer of ahkam, of laws, is Allah. Who else? So since when did this, since, therefore, if, then, but came from? No, there is nothing like that. So I think we are not going to talk about this further, but there is no such thing in Tashahhud during namaz that Aliyun Waliullah should be recited. Otherwise, do you think I will not be happy? If there was, why wouldn't I be happy? Of course, I mean that could completely nullify all the argumentation of everybody if Allah had done that. So there must be a hikmat in it. Freedom of choice. So very, very important, please don't get deviated about this since, therefore. Where people have to use since, therefore in Usul al-Din, ask them, why do you believe in Allah? Oh, it is our faith. So where Usul al-Din needs to be explored, since, therefore, if, but, and then needs to be used over there, again, Bependa, nothing in the bottom when you ask them. And then where you have to follow when things are proven and linked. At that time, since then, who gave you the right word since then? Go back to the basics. And then we will talk about the rest of it. So that is extremely important. It is important that these are current issues that need to be addressed. Second issue is about mu'jiza. I'm going to just write say few things because it is extremely important. Everywhere you go, this word mu'jiza is used. Mu'jiza has a purpose, has a time, has an event, and has a context. Allah has not created this universe on mu'jiza because mu'jiza is an exception to the rule for a very specific purpose, used at a very specific time by very specific people. You know, let me give you an example. So at the time of Imam Hasan Askari alayhi salam, this person comes in and he has a blessing or a stolen blessing, unfortunately, in his hand or in his under his shirt, which is some part of the Prophet's body. Some say bone, some say something, but anyway. And through the blessing of that part, he can invoke rain. So there is a time of drought. He says, okay, now my time has come to deviate these people. So what does he use? The bone or the part of the Prophet, not of anybody else. Prophet, who is the Prophet of Allah. But what is he doing? This guy is misusing it. Misusing it to deviate people. That's the beauty of our Imams have given us example. All we have to do is to just attach ourselves to them. Ihdina siratal mustaqim, siratal lazina. We have to go to the lazina, the Imams. If you stick to the lazina, everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. So, what does he do? He comes and he prays and the rain happens. People get, now you see, those who are bebinda, without the bottom, are saying, look, this guy, go that way. Nothing here. Just go that way. Just saw that, go that way. Okay, the ruler, now why did the ruler go to Imam Hasan Askari if he already, because he didn't go because he loved Islam. Just so that to clarify, because Islam was the way, he was exploiting people. He said, well, if these people are going to become non-Muslim, what am I going to do? So, what should I do? I have to do something because I have to keep exploiting these people. So he says, okay, I have to find a way. So he goes to Imam and says, you have to do something, it is the religion of your Jad. Same person who later on murders our Imam. It's the religion of your Jad. Right? And then he goes to him and Imam comes. Now you see, he's Sahib ilm. He knows that such a thing can never happen unless there is a foul play in between. Because he has the knowledge of everything. Imam. He knows what does what. What's the mechanism of this? What's the mechanism of that? He understands. He says, well, I know what he's doing. Because he's the Tabib Hazir. He is the one who is the true physician. Not physician in the sense of body only. But he is the physician of the universe. Everything that is encompassed by it. He knows ins and outs of it. So he knows what's he doing. So he says, check this guy. So they check him and they find this. They take it out. Say, okay, now ask him to call for rain. He calls for rain. Nothing happens. Then Imam goes, shows the thing. Okay, calls for rain. Rain comes. So the point is that the ijaz is to guide people towards Allah, towards Imam, and towards the truth. At the time when such a situation and such an act is needed. So if people are using some dua, some Quran, some words, see, that was the bone of Prophet of God. So if they are using certain invocations from Quran and duas to do something, there are Virde Ali and what have you these days, to deviate people, don't do this, do that, let's not do this, do that. If they are deviating people from established tenets of Islam, from the ways of Imam, from the ways of Quran and established ways of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it is obvious our prophets and Imam have given us this knowledge that anyone who comes and takes you that route, null and void. It doesn't matter what they are doing. It is irrelevant. So our Imams have taught us by this, if nothing by this example of Imam Hasan Askari alayhi salam. These things are irrelevant. We are not impressed by this because inshallah we have a firmer base. And we are not like people, who would just saw this and then they went the other way. So hold your ground, inshallah, stick to the basics and understand the reasoning behind things, and also understand to get the things from the right source, from the right person, a person who has no depth. उर्दू में कहते हैं बेपेंदे का लोटा, पता नहीं किसी ने सुना है कि नहीं? सबने सुना है। BPL कहते थे हम लोग अपने मेडिकल स्कूल में, यहाँ पे नहीं पता क्या कहते। So that's how it is. So be careful, inshallah. Let's say salawat and move. So now moving forward to coming to our topic, we discussed issues about the growth, about the loss, and about reason, about logic, and so on and so forth. And that clarity comes from questioning and reason and so on and so forth. Now we described freedom, and we described freedom as satanic freedom and the angelic freedom. The freedom which is angelic, the example of Quran is, the guidance from Quran is that Adam was created by Allah and angels were asked to do sajda and others were also asked to do sajda. Angels did it out of their free will, submitted to the will of Allah, gave rise to the concept of submission by free will. That's the angelic freedom. Then the Satan came in and didn't do that and said, I am better than him because I am from fire and this person is from dust. So I know more than Allah. So while he knows that Allah knows the best. So that's the satanic or non-angelic freedom. You see the junk of it. The junk of it. Whatever is the other path. Okay? So that's that. And very briefly, satanic freedom was self-love. That was negation of self, the angelic freedom. It was arrogant. That was humble. It was jealous. That was appreciative. That was divisive. That was uniting. Right? That was love. And that was hate. That was rejection of Allah through logic. That was acceptance of Allah through reason. The logic there is apparent. The logic here is firm. That there is a difference. Both sides are trying to bring reasons. Both sides. However, the reason of the shaitan is superficial if you analyze it. Again, do you believe in this? Yes. Why? And why did you? So, dust. I believe in this because I am from fire and Adam is from dust. Next argument from Allah. So, do you think I don't know? What's the answer to that? Am I not the creator? What's the answer to that? So, Satan's arguments are against knowledge, while knowing that he is arguing against knowledge. The angelic is what? Submission to the knowledge, because they know they are submitting to the knowledge. It's the beauty of it. So, that's it. So, therefore, the angelic freedom leads to growth, true, and the satanic freedom leads to loss, which is we lose it. become the losers. Yes, remember? We say we become losers and we don't want to be the losers if we follow Satan, right? Right. Good job. Good job. So now let's go towards the topic of Imamat. And the topic of Imamat is important from this standpoint. So people, when they talk about freedom, they talk about liberty, they talk about dictatorship. So what's that? What's that? So satanic freedom raises this slogan too. We talk about liberty, we talk about this, we talk about that. It is the destination where it leads to. That's how we know it is satanic freedom or a non-angelic freedom. If the destination of the slogan is leading to where? Is it going to Allah or is it going somewhere else? Buy 5 TV, buy 4 cars, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to live here and we have to kind of accommodate to these things. But we should know, at least we should try to, inshallah, strive against it. Okay? But however, it is extremely important to understand the destination of such a freedom, such a liberty is always towards dictatorship, even if it is a dictatorship of self. Why? Why? Because dictatorship is something which is usurpation, which is something which is oppression. Quran says that Allah don't like those people who oppress their souls. It's a verse of Quran, and I can inshallah give you, because I want to be fast. So it is, Quran says Allah don't like those people. He does not like those people who oppress their souls, for these people are in loss and so on and so forth. So oppression of soul is another thing. So it is important to protect it. Dictatorship sometimes can be dictatorship of 51% over 49%. Just because somebody is more in number does not mean they are right. The issue is freedom comes from truth and from righteousness, not from numbers. If freedom came from numbers, what are we doing here today? We are commemorating Karbala. 100 and some odd people, men, women and children, against tens of thousands who are free. People of Karbala or those? I rest my case. Freedom does not come from numbers, from 51%, 49%. No. One person, if he is true and he is the holder of the right, we call it Imam Mahdi Akhir Zaman. And we prefer him over the rest of them. All of the others, junk. All of the others, junk. Doesn't matter. You say, man, there are so many hundreds of them. So, just because there are so many hundreds, does it make them right? No. No. And we accept him as the ruler of the universe. Yes? So, he is the one person. One person. That's how it is. That's how it is. So this is extremely important for us to understand that freedom without truth, a freedom which is divorced, dissociated from truth, is worthless. Is a trade that is bound to lead to loss. So when the slogan of freedom is given to you, at least verify where is it going? What are the foundations of those freedom? Are they coming from angels and Allah or coming from the other side? It's extremely important for us to, this is a serious stuff. We need to understand these things. We should not fall prey to slogans only, inshallah. Let's say a salawat, inshallah. And the beauty is, you see, what's the beauty of it is? The beauty is that such a freedom with truth, la ikraha fid deen, never imposes itself upon you. Well, if our Imam truly wants Does he not have the power to become the leader of this world? What is this? I mean, it's pathetic in front of him. He doesn't even have to wish it. He just even have to kind of consider it in the depth of the eons of his mind, and he will become. Yet he doesn't. Why? Imam, if he wanted in Karbala, couldn't he? He just had to say, not be, and they would have all annihilated. Finished. Because Allah had given him the power. What's the point? It is the point that truth and freedom which comes in the form of imamat is always 100% democratic. 100%. Because it only accepts the reign of power when people wants it. See the uswa of our Prophet in Makkah and Medina, of our Anbiya, the prophets before him, and our Imams after the Prophet. They could have imposed it. I mean, what was the big deal? They could have just done it like that, but they didn't. Why? Because the respect of the freedom given to people from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People have to choose their own benefit out of their own free will. There is nothing in it for them. What's in it for them? They are already the owners of heavens and earth. What can you give them that will make them rich? What? What are you going to take away from them that is going to make them poor? There is nothing you can do for them, man. There is nothing you can take away from them. Nothing you can do for them. There's nothing. You want them, good for you. You don't want them, there is only one loser sitting in this room. That is, and actually many losers. But Imam is not the one. It doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do. Makes no difference, none whatsoever. That's the beauty of Imamah. It is 100% of the time democratic, not kind of a democracy which is not associated with truth, that wherever it can, it gets 51%, and wherever it cannot, it supports kings and queens and other usurpers. Whatever goes, as long as my interests are fulfilled, the satanic freedom, me and nobody else. It's important to understand, because if we don't understand this, imamat as a concept becomes not relevant to us. We have to understand why is it that Imam is relevant to us today. Our Imam is relevant to us today. Because if we don't understand this, then we don't miss him the way we should be missing him. We need to do something so that his arrival happens. It is our responsibility to be among his aides and companions. That's why we say, what does that mean? So we have to understand the relevance of his presence in our life today. Without that, it is useless, whatever we do. Inshallah, we must preserve this minbar so that these kind of things are repeated from it, so that we can inshallah achieve our destination.
Subhanallah.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
So at the time, let's say, so the Yazidiyat is what? Yazidiyat is aristocracy, elitism, worship of desires, ignorance, defiance, slavery, oppression for freedom, apartheid, law without logic, punishment without logic. Hussainiyat is what? Piety, humility, worship of one God, monotheism, knowledge, reason, logic, liberty with sacrifice, not liberty with bombs and killing people. Self-sacrifice, justice, law of logic. If there is a punishment, there is logic and compassion in it. These are the things that differentiate the two sides. So then the question becomes, what are the tactics? How come people are deceived and how can we protect ourselves from such deceit? Because that is important. I can't just talk about these things and not provide a solution or scenario. So what happens is that first let's see verses of Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And I'm just going to recite the translation. And most certainly Shaitan is saying to Allah. This is a conversation at the time when Shaitan defied Allah. And Allah said, get lost. Right? Most certainly I will lead them astray and excite them. Excite them with what? Excite in them vain desires. Like I said, I want this no matter whether I deserve this or not. I want to have cheap resources. No matter how many people I have to kill, doesn't matter. And bid them so that they shall slit. Arabs used to do, what Arabs used to do, they used to make animals useless. So they used to slit their ears and would consider them useless and would not use them for purpose. So slitting ears was a symbol where a useful entity was made useless in society for reasons that are beyond the conversation, beyond the depth of this conversation. So that's what Satan is referring to, that I will make them slit the ears, meaning making useful things useless. Okay? And then what I'm going to do? I'm going to make them forget and destroy your creations within them. The nature, the logic, the reasoning themselves they're going to forget. And then what did he say? And Allah says that Shaitan doesn't give you anything but ghurur. And we talked about ghurur, something which appears beautiful from outside but is terrible and ugly from inside. That's the meaning of ghurur. Okay, now coming back. So now the way that these agendas are implemented of satanic non-angelic freedom. How? One word. Nifaq. Munafiq. What is the meaning of nifaq? Munafiq is not necessarily only Muslims. Even though, among Muslims munafiqeen existed, sure. But the definition of munafiq does not necessarily have to apply to Muslims. Who is a munafiq? A hypocrite in English, or a munafiq means that whatever he says or does, apparently he means the exact opposite of it. He means the exact opposite of it. So a munafiq will be prostrating to Allah in front of the people, but will be praying to Shaitan or himself. A munafiq will be raising the slogan of angelic freedom. Oh, when I come to power, I will free the prisoners. I am going to revoke all the laws that are oppressive, intrusive. I am going to stop all the wars and get a Nobel Prize. But then what am I going to do? I am going to worsen the law for imprisonment. Now, any person can be imprisoned without charge. The law just got passed. I am going to stop wars. I am going to start as many wars as nobody else has. Maybe the other guy started one, I am going to start 4. In the name of peace. So, slogan, peace, action, war. Exact opposite of each other. This is the definition of a hypocrite and munafiq. No matter how eloquent that munafiq is, eloquence is not a criteria, actions are. Look at them, what they are doing, that defines them. Just open your eyes. That's all there is to it. So, that's that. They talk about spreading freedom and liberty, but all the tyrants will be the friend. That's how it is. Freedom of speech will be present, but not for godly speech. Every other kind of speech is free. You can even curse Allah, and the prophets. But if you try to praise them, no. that's against separation, you can't do that. But rest of it is free. This is extremely important. So this is the essence of nifaq, essence of hypocrisy. It doesn't have to be among Muslims. Muslims can also be munafiq. But this is a mindset. This is a method. This is a tactic. Just understand it. Anybody can be like this. Whoever understand the attributes, see who fits the attribute, that person is that. That's it. Let's say salawat or Muhammad wa alayhi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And in order to justify and so that people are, it's okay, people can tolerate it, they create some benefits that are, not that critical, but people also get something out of it. So they keep feeding people something, but burdening them with debt. Basically, they are taking from your own pocket and giving it to you. They are not doing you any favor. Who's going to pay it? You are going to pay it. I'm going to pay it. Who else is going to pay it? So the money you are getting today is not the money that is given to you out of true effort and endeavor. So there is a deceit in that too. And so by these kind of things, what do they do? They create confusion, they create chaos, divisions, and so on and so forth. It is extremely important that they would create wars in the name of peace, division in the name of unity, chaos in the name of harmony. That is how people get confused. People get attracted towards these kind of slogans and they don't understand and they don't analyze and confusion prevails. So now let's start, let me bring you back to from where I started in my first speech. So because today is the last. What was it? Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he taught us the fourth on the Arba'in of Ziyarat. What did he say? He says that Imam Hussain met with deadly dangers, acted justly and fairly, made use of everything belonging to him to pay full attention, to give sincere advice to people. He took pains in doing that and made every effort and put his heart, mind and soul and life and blood to fulfill Allah's mission. What was it? 2 words. To take people away from confusion and ignorance. Remove the curtain of ignorance and confusion. That's what Imam taught us. That's the purpose of Imam Hussain in the Ziyarat of Arba'in. Inshallah, there is sawab in reciting it in time. So the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, when we try to understand in the light of these verses from Ziyarah of Arba'in, we find 2 aspects of these movements. We can understand it in 2 ways. And each aspect, each way of analysis is correct. But when they come together, they give it a different meaning and even a greater meaning. So the first view is the apparent one. And manifest way of understanding is, that is, Imam fought against a deviant, oppressive, devious and an evil governor, ruler, Yazid and his establishment, who was trying to destroy Islam at that time. That's the manifest. But then the other aspect is the deeper meaning of this, is the core of the Imams and the actuality of Imams' movement. What was it? This aspect of the movement is against ignorance of all time, is against the confusion at all times, the lack of clarity and the ambiguity of the humanity. In light of this second aspect, we understand what? that even though apparently the war is against Yazid, but in reality Imam is waging war, an all-out war, a magnificent and a grand battle for all time to come, which is not against this petty and impotent Yazid. Who is that? This is nothing in front of Imam. But the battle is against this ignorance, low character, deviance and confusion of human beings, so that the humanity gets a mechanism, gets a tool, gets a balance and gets a method through which they can always identify in confused times the right from wrong. So that is why do you think our Imams wanted this to become an institution, so that the humanity can learn from it and reach its true destination? This was such a magnificent example that even when we see non-Muslims who are trying to achieve freedom, they turn to Hussain.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
They turn to Hussain. They are not even Muslims. This is the beauty and the magnificence of this act of Imam Hussain. So that's the point. So if we are attending a majlis and we are getting a message of division, disunity, inappropriate way of addressing others, offensive language towards others, is this correct use of Imam's pulpit? Imam who gave his life in Karbala, calling people to the truth till the last drop of his blood, is that the use of his pulpit? To throw people away instead of bringing them in?
Subhanallah.
We should not compromise our principles, because if we get money, if we get any kind of support from any entity, by any method that compromises our message, then what are we doing? What are we doing then? What message are we sending not only to us but to them? What do we expect then? This is our responsibility. Those who have the power to choose people and to bring them on the pulpit, to be careful and to use this opportunity that Allah has blessed them with carefully. They will be asked. They will die, and Allah is going to ask them, what did you do with the responsibility that I gave you? What answer do we have on the day of Mahshar, in front of Allah, in front of Prophet, in front of Hussain and Bibi Zainab? What are we going to do? It is important, therefore, my dear friends, my fellow, please take it seriously. It's not a joke. There is no free lunch. We are all responsible. We are all responsible. Let's say a salawat, inshallah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
In essence, Prophet came, he brought a message. After a lot of toils and a lot of turmoil, a government was established. Head of the government was our Prophet, and that government was based on justice, truth, monotheism, unity, knowledge, logic, reason, love, companionship. It was a beautiful government, beautiful society, both inside and outside.
Subhanallah.
It was when Prophet was Imam of that society, the leader of that society. Our Prophet was also the Imam. 50 years later, after the demise of Prophet, the government became from justice to injustice, from truth and monotheism and unity to bias, my own way and discord. I am going to do haram what Prophet did halal, my way. Knowledge, logic and reason were converted into, transformed into ignorance and opinion. I believe, Ali and Waliullah, I believe. What is your belief? Who cares? Keep it to yourself. Correct yourself. And deceit and abandonment became the order of the day. And that government may have created big buildings, beautiful architecture that we can go and see today. But from inside, that was corrupt. Whatever was present was for elite, not for the common man. And so imamat is inherently, and it is contradiction. It cannot coexist with any type of other governments, which is not imam. Inherently it is not possible. Why? Imamat is what? Imamat is a spiritual, substantive, caring, loving relationship with people. It is a relationship which is based on knowledge, openness, no secrets, clarity and knowledge. It is a relationship where Imam doesn't gain from you. As I said, what can you give to him? What can you take away from him? Nothing. He is there only so that because he loves you, he wants to do you benefit and reach you to the target of salvation. And it is a movement from within the people, for the people, and for their salvation via obedience to Allah. Siratul Mustaqim. So that when you reach Maliki Yawmiddin, you are successful. That's what it is. That's what imamat is. Anything other than imamat is a relationship that is directly or indirectly imposed upon people, either by deceit, false propaganda, or lies, or usurpation, and they have no regard for people. They only have regard for themselves or their cronies. This is purely for self-gain. There is something in it for them. Lobbying, get money, $60,000 per lecture. If you heard the debate, yeah. So it is a governance of arrogance and self-love and self-service. It is a movement by certain people with vested interest for them, through the people, and for the people who are of the ruling class. It is to benefit them. That's the core difference between any type of government and imamat. That is what we strive for. We strive for imamat, not because we have any personal gain, because it is a benefit of human race that we look for. That is why we want human race to understand benefit, so that it is not imposed upon them. Instead, they understand what is right for them and what is not. So our way is a way of knowledge, not of oppression, sacrifice, not of killing, and so on. Let's say as-salawat. So meaning that at Imam Hussein's time, the deviation among Muslims had reached to a point where a person like Yazid had become the ruler. And Yazid, who had no link to the people, he had no belief in Islam, he was ignorant, not knowledgeable, never went to jihad, never did anything, not that jihad of killing anything, and no battle. And Yazid sought the allegiance of Imam Hussain. Meaning, what does it mean? It meant approval of his actions from Imam, approval of his all un-Islamic practices, all of them, approval of an Islam where religion was present only in name, without beauty and without its core. Meaning approval of dishonor, deviance and deceit and lies and propaganda and what have you. That's what he wanted. Meaning approval of the Shajara Khabisa while presenting it as Shajara Tayyaba. So what is Shajara Khabisa, he would say that is Shajara Tayyaba. He wanted Imam to support ignorance, support chaos, support his way of ruling, and Imam obviously denied. What did he say? He said, Misli, a person like me does not do bayat on the hands of person like Yazid. Right? That's that. And what is then Imam is trying to do? Imam is trying to restore Imamat and Wilayat, restore Islamic values, restore Islam and people's honor. That's why, what is his slogan? Hayhat minna zillah. Hayhat minna zillah. Zillat, dishonor is far away from us. We don't accept dishonor. We are honorable people. Hayhat minna zillah. So, restoration of integrity, rejection of corruption, restoration of justice, rejection of injustice, restoration of clarity in the minds of the people, and to remove all kinds of confusion, doubts and division. Therefore, Imam, when he comes out, what does he say? He says to Muhammad Hanafiya, what does he say? That I am not going to get power for my own benefit, but I am going for Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, and to return my ummah towards the principles of my grandfather and my father. Right? Now, many people take it that, oh, Imam didn't want to rule. So I have this question. So when was the last time Imam ever wanted to rule? When? Never. Imam never wants to rule. It is we want them to rule. As we said, Imam, which Imam himself ever wanted to rule for himself? What's in it for them? So people don't think, and they get deviated by all these kind of mere slogans. Oh, Imam's uprising was not about governance. Governance is nothing. Yeah, governance is nothing for Imam. So which Imam wanted? So Imam Ali wanted government, or our Prophet wanted government? What's in it for them? Nothing. So which Imam or which Prophet wants government? None. Zero. The idea was never the fact that Imam wanted government. We wanted them to be the governor. We wanted them to be the ruler. Why? Because we wanted all that. We wanted justice. We wanted truth. We wanted honor. We wanted salvation. We mourned because Imam was deprived of delivering this to us. We lost the opportunity. What did Imam lose? Can anybody tell me? Nothing. He was murdered. People, unfortunately, we don't think these things. We have to think when we should not be swayed by these slogans who say, oh, whoever says Imam was going to go after government, and it means that Imam wanted to establish government. Yes, Imam wanted to establish government, but for who? For himself or for us? For us. That's the point. So it is important for us to, inshallah, understand and remember that. With this, we come to our Masail. So a few minutes more and then I'm done. So today I'm going to talk about Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Even one more salam. So Hazrat Abbas, as we know, was the son of Al-Bani. They were 4 brothers, and he had sons who were also in Karbala. And Hazrat Abbas went in the end after his brothers were martyred and after his children were martyred. This Hazrat Abbas is known for his wafa, for his loyalty. Loyalty is synonymous with Hazrat Abbas. Now again, see, now Hazrat Abbas is not a Masoom. Is not a Masoom. And yet, he is as close to a Masoom that anyone can be. And this Hazrat Abbas, shiver comes to him on the 9th. Shiver comes to him and he says, near the camp of Imam Hussain, where are the sons of our sister? Because of the same tribe of al-Bani and so on. So, and then comes to Hazrat Abbas, because he's the eldest, and says, you guys are all protected, you can leave. This is what's happened on the 9th. And in Malhoof, it is written another narration that Hazrat Abbas said, woe be upon you, you offer me security while the son of Prophet is devoid. See, he was Haqshinas. He understood and he knew the right from wrong. Right from wrong. So, tens of thousands are in front of him, they are saying, go away. Your life will be protected. Take your children with you. Take your brothers with you. You will be saved, no harm will come to you. What does he do? He says, I leave Hussain. Are you out of your mind? What do you think I am? That I am going to leave Hussain alone? You think? Never. And he says, woe be upon you, and may your heads be cut. What an evil and treacherous thing you think. And you even consider that I will do it? Never. This son of Ali is not raised for this. This is Abbas. Abbas is not only, yes, he is loyal, but he is loyal at many ends. He had the chance to leave, and he didn't, and he stayed. Proved his loyalty. On the 10th of Muharram, when all people started leaving and going one by one after the other, Hazrat Abbas, he is unfortunately portrayed as somebody who was terrible, in the sense that wherever he went, people were afraid of him and would go and run and hide. No, that was not the case. He was called Qamar Bani Hashim, the beautiful moon of Bani Hashim. That when people would look at him, they would see the beauty of Bani Hashim in him. He was kind, he was generous, he was compassionate, he was a great warrior, but he was not a cruel warrior. He was a warrior of Iman, a sacrificing warrior. The martyrdom and cruelty is the virza of Yazid, that called murder, martyrdom, and suicide, martyrdom, and so on. Anyway, so this was Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas goes on the day of Ashur, and he wants to go. Imam doesn't let him go. After a while he said, all of my children are now dead, my brothers are dead, the army you were talking about remains no more, my flag represents not only but a few. It is time for me to go. I am now fulfilled with life, I am satiated with it, I cannot live any longer, I don't want to live anymore. Oh my Mawla, oh my Lord Master, let me go. Let me go. And Imam says, okay, if you want to go, then go. But go, Sakina, your beloved niece is thirsty, so are the other children. Why don't you go and grab some water for them? If you want to find. Get some water. Now there are two narrations in history. In one narration, it says Hazrat Abbas went alone. In another narration, it is said that Imam Hussain accompanied him till a very far distance, because he was covering his back. Abbas was going forward, Imam was protecting his back, so the army of Yazid would not be able to put a siege on him. And they both went together. One way or the other, there came a distance between these two brothers. Whether because they didn't go together, or because they went together and during the fight, a distance came. Once the distance came, Hazrat Abbas, it is said, killed about 80 people. It is said in Malhoof, and that he killed about 80 people at that time, and then he went forward, and then he reached the river. And reached the river, and it is undisputed that he sat and he took some water in his hand and he looked at that water. And it is said that maybe at that time he thought of the thirst of Sakina and the children. And then, or maybe he wanted to show the army of Yazid that who is the owner of water. You think we can't get to it? It is like this. And then he looked at it and then he threw it away. And he filled the sack and then left a mark on the word loyalty and wafa. Left an eternal mark so that it became synonymous with him. Turned away and went towards the camp. And he went towards the camp. Now the enemy knew that Abbas is diverted towards protecting the mushk, the bag of water. They started attacking him. And Hazrat Abbas was trying to dodge the enemy and was fighting him on its way when two people from behind a tree attacked him treacherously and cut his right hand. And he says, "Oh, by Allah, if my right hand is cut, I am going to do the Nusrat to Hussain. I am going to be his warrior and his aid, and I will fight with my left hand." And he kept on fighting with his left hand till another blow came, and his left hand was relieved. And then he put the sack in his water, the water sack, he grabbed it from the teeth and just bent himself on the horse and said, "Oh horse, take me to the camp of Hussain." And the horse left, and by that time a hammer fell upon his head, and Abbas' head was then broken, and Abbas was bleeding, and he fell from the horse, and he says, "Ya Aba Abdullah, oh my brother, Ya Khaq Abdul Khaq, oh brother, come to the aid of your brother." And Imam Hussain went to him and he said, "Oh brother, and he saw him dying, and he died and said, "With your death my back is broken, Abbas." And then Imam took the flag and the empty sack of water with no water in it, and he started coming back to the camp. Children, when they saw in the camp the flag is coming back, they thought Abbas is coming. They started gathering together that water is coming, and then what happened? That Abbas didn't come, and Sakina saw the flag with blood, father alone, and it is said that Sakina after that never asked for water herself. Oh Allah, accept this worship of ours. Oh Allah, allow us to become your true companion and aids. Allow us to become thoughtful people who are here to protect your religion in completeness, and inshallah protect the honor of this pulpit of Hussain. May inshallah Allah bless us with the courage and the strength to learn more and more and improve ourselves more and more, grow towards salvation inshallah. Azizul Musta'an, and transfer this knowledge to our children. May Allah allow us this worship and bless us with it. Oh Allah, those who are in need, fulfill their halal needs. Oh Allah, those who are sick, grant them with health. Those who are in debt, remove their debt. Those who are made refugees, return them to home. Those who are fighting for your cause, elevate their stature, grant them with success, and Allah bless them day and night and day, and protect them from the enemies. And oh Allah, those who are trying to bring down your flag and harm your religion, humiliate them and defeat them and bring down their flag both in this world and in Akhirat inshallah. Oh Allah, expedite the arrival of our Imam and protect all the Mahajir, and oh Allah, allow us to be among the companions of Imam and among his aides, and allow us to be among those who are raised and allowed to return back to aid our Imam. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ماتم الحسين.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
मैं असग़र कहाँ हुआ जाओ
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
رات کا وقت ہونے والا ہے
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
پانی پینے گئے تھے مقتل میں
پانی پینے گئے تھے مقتل میں
لب دکھانے گئے تھے مقتل میں
لب دکھانے گئے تھے مقتل میں
دیو کھانے گئے تھے مقتل میں دل دکھانے گئے تھے مقتل میں
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
میرے اصغر کیا کیا تم نے
میرے اصغر یہ کیا کیا تم نے
تیر گردن ٹکا لیا تم نے
تیر گردن پہ کھا لیا تم نے
موت کا جام یوں پیا تم نے ہنس کے سب کو رلا دیا تم نے
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
غم گلے سے لگا رہی ہوں میں
ہم گلے سے لگا رہی ہوں میں
خالی جھولا جھولا رہی ہوں میں
خالی جھولا جھولا رہی ہوں میں
پھوکے آنسو بہا رہی ہوں میں اب صبح شام میں جا رہی ہوں میں
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
چل دیے منہ سے روٹ کر
آئے چل دیے منہ سے روٹ کر آئے
میں نے کپڑے نئے نہ پہنائے
میں نے کپڑے نئے نہ پہنائے
بال بکھرے ہوئے نہ سل جائے کون اب ماں کے دل کو بہلائے
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
اے عروجہ بروج پر غم ہے
اے عروجہ عروج پر غم ہے
دونوں عالم میں شور ماتم ہے
دونوں عالم میں شور ماتم ہے
جتنوں نے کہ آج ہم تم ہے ماں کے دل کی پکار پہ ہم ہے
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
رات کا وقت ہونے والا ہے
میرے اصغر کہاں ہو آ جاؤ
یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد المسيحيين السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك السلام عليك وعلى أمك وأخيك السلام عليك وعلى أخيك بالفضل عباس وعلى سائر المستشهدين مع جميع ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس بعنيس النفوس. أيها المدفون بأرض الطوس، يا علي بن موسى الرذاء، كن شفينا وشفي والدينا في اليوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان. العمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، واجعلنا من أنصارك وعوانك وشيتك ومحبيك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
مومنین کل سے یہاں پہ 3 روزہ مجالس کا سلسلہ شروع ہو رہا ہے جس سے مولانا فاضل حسین حسوی خطاب فرمائیں گے. مجلس ٹھیک 9 بجے شروع ہو جائے گی اور ٹھیک 9:45 بجے 9:45 پہ مولانا افروز نمبر ہوں گے. تو آپ لوگ نوٹ فرما دیں 3 روزہ مجالس جو بدھ جمعرات جمعے کے دن مولانا فاضل حسین حسوی باب العلم اسلامک سینٹر میں خطاب کریں گے. مجلس ٹھیک 9 بجے شروع ہو جائے گی اور ٹھیک 9:45 بجے مولانا افروز نمبر ہوں گے.
Look what they're getting hot dog.